All right, so the problems that you are going to be working on are these three, 1, 2, and 3. So I'll label this 1, 2, and 3. And I'm going to show you guys an example right here. And then 4, 5, and 6. And I'll be showing some examples on those here in a second. Okay. All right, so the first one you're going to be doing special right triangle scenarios. Okay, so in these cases, the angles are always the same. They're always going to be 30, 60, and 90. Okay. The other cases when you have a 45, 45, 90. But the steps are the same, the ratios are different. Okay, so here's an example with a 30, 60, 90. And usually when you get these triangles, they'll only label one corner. Like that will say 60, or maybe that one will say 30. And you know the opposite, or the other corner is just the other angle. Okay, so now the ratio for 30, 60, 90 goes like this. So first I write 30, 60, 90. The ratio that goes under that is for 30, it's 1, 60, square root of 3, and 90 is 2. Okay, so now across from 30, which is, there's 30, right? Across from 30 is 4. Across from 60 is x. Across from 90 is y. All right, so now once I have that set up, and then what's important there is make sure you're picking the correct sides. So if that's across from 4, make sure that goes right under the same angle. Okay, now here, these are basically all proportions. I can put a line right through all of these, right? And those are all like basically like a fraction. Now what I have to do is I'm going to solve for x and y, but I can't do them both at the same time. So I got to pick one. But if you notice, this is the only one that doesn't have a variable. So I'm going to use that proportion to solve for both x and y. Okay, so I'll take x. First I'll take 1 over 4, and I'll set it equal to one of those. I'll start with just 2 over y for y. And we just cross multiply. Y equals 8. All right, so that one's pretty simple. Now this one, let's set that up. Same thing. 1 over 4 equals square root of 3 over 4. Cross multiply. Oops, sorry, that's supposed to be an x right there. And then x equals 4 times the square root of 3, which I can't multiply those two, so it's just 4 rad 3. All right, so that's how you set that up. That's a 30, 60, 90. Now when you do the 45, 45, 90, same steps, different ratio. Ratio will be 45, 45, 90. Underneath, it will be 1, 1, square root of 2. So just like I set that up there, you do the same thing. Figure out which sides go across from those angles, and then set up your proportions. Okay? Okay, so now over here, we're going to be looking for the missing side. These two here, you're looking for missing side, and here you're going to be looking for missing angle. So I'm going to show you an example right over here. Okay, so with this example, I've got this missing side over here, and what's given to me is an angle and these two sides. So what I got to do with these is basically figure out which of these functions am I going to use to find that missing side. Well, first I got to figure out what I have. Well, here's my angle. Across from the angle is opposite. Right next to it, that's adjacent. So I have an adjacent side, and then the side that's across from 90, that's your hypotenuse. Okay, so now what I do is I say, okay, I've got adjacent side and hypotenuse. Which of the functions uses those two sides? That would be cosine, which is adjacent over hypotenuse. Okay, so now what I do is I set up the cosine of that angle, which is 25, is equal to the adjacent side over the hypotenuse. Okay, and now what I can do, just like that last problem with special triangles, is create a proportion and cross multiply. So x times 1 is x, 7 times cosine of 25. And now that, I'm just going to plug it right into Desmos, or use your calculator to figure that out. Okay, and I end up with 6.34. And you might want to try this in your calculator. Do 7 times cosine of 25 just to make sure that you're getting the right one, because you got to make sure you're in degree mode. In the iPhone, it's in the bottom left. You got to push the DEG button, and make sure you push that before you actually type in cosine of 25. Okay? So make sure you type in 7 times cosine of 25 and see, did you get 6.34? If not, then you need to make sure you're in degree mode. Okay? Now, let's say I'm doing that same triangle, right? Except this time, instead of looking for the adjacent side, now I'm going to look for the hypotenuse. Okay, so you still set it up the same, but there's like one extra step that you're going to have to do in that case. So here, cosine 25 equals now 7 over x, because it's still adjacent over hypotenuse, but now the x is on the hypotenuse. I'm still going to cross multiply. 7 times 1, 7. X times cosine of 25. So you can see it ends up looking a little different now. Now I've got x and cosine on the same side. So I want to get rid of that cosine by dividing it. So I'm going to divide cosine of 25 on both sides. It'll cancel it out here. And now it's going to be 7 divided by cosine of 25 instead in this case. Which now be cosine of 25. That'll be 7.7. 7.72. So again, same thing. Try it on your calculator. Do 7 divided by cosine of 25 and make sure that you're getting that 7.72 to make sure you're on the right track. Okay, so that's how you find the missing side. The last one is missing angle. Okay, so same thing. I got to figure out what I got. In this case, I've got opposite side, and I have, an adjacent side, which means I'm going to be using tangent. But now I'm looking for the angle. Okay, so if I'm looking at this one, well, my angle's here, and that's opposite. And this is that, oops, sorry, there's supposed to be a box there. Hypotenuse. That means I'm going to be using sine. So the one you're working on, you're going to use tangent. The one I'm going to show you, I'm going to use sine. Okay, so here, I'm actually, oops, sorry. I'm going to set it up just like I did before, except now x is the sine, is the angle. And now set it equal to opposite 5 over hypotenuse 8. Now when you're looking for an angle, you use the inverse of the function. So what I do is I basically just switch these. And now I do sine inverse of 5 over 8. And that's going to give me my angle. Okay? So on my calculator, on your calculator on the iPhone or on Android, you hit the second button. So if you look real close, on this calculator it's the blue button. On your calculator you hit second, and then you'll see that sine inverse button pop up with the -1. Or just use Desmos, it's much easier. And then click FUNC, function on Desmos. Okay, so I end up with 38.6. And that's in degrees, because we're looking for the angle there. Okay? So complete these problems. Once you're done, submit them on the Schoology. You'll see it right there. We're under week 14. Okay? That's it.